Hello, Houston. It's Mary with Around H-Town with Simple-elegance. And today we have Ryan Kutter with us from Connect Realty. We're so excited
Mary.
to
Thanks
have
for the
you.
invite.
Well, thank you for making the time to join us. We are so excited. I love just talking about real estate in Houston. It's kind of probably one of the best areas to be in. But let's go back, because you have a long journey of what got you to real estate in Houston.
Well, we kind of met through some philanthropy stuff early on, a long time ago.
Giving back to the Lord.
Yeah.
So, and that was probably, 2010, 2011, when we were working with Freedom Place, which is an amazing ministry with Arrow Ministries. And we're doing some fundraising.
Yes.
I remember, oh my gosh, the house that we met at. Do you remember? It was the former governor of Texas.
Beautiful house. Yeah.
In Royal Oaks?
Yeah, River Oaks.
Yep. River Oaks. He was in the car with John F. K. when he kind of got shot.
Yeah, I didn't know all that backstory, but wow.
I know. I'm pretty sure that's the house that we met at. And she had this whole area that has the whole information about it. Yeah, I know. It was really
crazy times,
cool.
right?
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm in this house and I'm in the kitchen and we're having fun. But really raising money for the Lord, which was really, really cool. And then I remember years later, and I'm at Connect Realty doing some kind of class. Yeah. And I turn around and there you are. And I'm like,
when I heard your name, I was like, Mary Scally, I know that name. Yeah, that was crazy.
I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know you were in real estate.
I was.
But you had a journey there.
Yes.
Like that kind of, you didn't start in real estate. You started in churches.
Church world, I mean, the construction, I've always been blessing and a curse, be good with your hands and building things. And I've just always been a hard worker. And that's where I was working at church full time. And real estate started out as a hobby. And so I was just doing that. Part-time for me, I put in a lot of hours. So part-time for me was 30, 40, 50 hours in the evenings and on weekends. And luckily I had a job that I could take a phone call here and then, that's how I got started and then met through Arrow and in doing work internationally. My wife and I actually spent a couple years in Honduras opening up a girls' home, Casa de Esther, which is still around, still thriving. And honestly, one of my wife and I's biggest passions.
Share about custody.
Yeah, so
it's such an amazing ministry.
If teenage ladies and trafficking and getting people out of abusive situations is on your heart or as a passion of yours. I know it's my wife's holy discontent, and God's used us in that way. But we helped start a girls' home in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, capital city of Honduras, which is. I haven't looked at the reports lately, but seriously, number one or number two most dangerous cities in Central America. And so we helped get Casa de Esther off the ground, still running. It's our main ministry that we support, and Michael and Valina Perry are running it right now. But, it's all about...
Which I love. Wait a second. Come back on that. Because Michael... He was in the kitchen.
Yeah, no, so Michael was actually from the States.
Oh, okay,
through our church. I worked at the Ark Church in Conroe, Texas, still an amazing church. And they came down, we started a missionary intern program, and him and Valina, which was an intern of mine in student ministry, and came down, just had a passion for missions and global missions, to be specific. And they're now running it. You're referencing my assistant that Jamie and I brought on, and then another gentleman that we're like, dude, I need somebody that knows how to get around and fix things, and you're learning all the cultural dynamics of a third world country. And so that was Richard, and Richard and Johanna are running on the ground operations, and Michael Valina are still running it from a broad perspective. But
that's something about you, Ryan, that I love, is that you are a person that looks at people and says, wait a second, you got more in you.
Yeah.
You got more in there. Let me train you. Let me get you connected. Let me help you develop into that person that God wants you to be.
Sure. Yeah. And I think, that's people, what is this, Jimmy John's?
Jimmy John's.
Are we on video?
We're on video.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to eat it on video, but the office was making Jimmy John's, and this is my favorite. Yes, my wife. If there's a Jimmy John's and I'm hungry, Italian nightclub, no tomatoes, cut in half.
Yeah, Shani has to eat. Like she's a regular eater, you know, like I can go the whole day without, but no, Shani, if she doesn't eat,
Yeah. No, she
she's
gets
grumpy.
hangry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I think everybody's got potential in them, and even for me, my start in real estate, it was as a result of a really good friend of mine. It was like, hey, I got more business than I can handle. You've been talking about this forever. Why don't you do it? So I finally did it, and then that first year started in part as a partnership in real estate. I don't know if I would ever do it again, but she gave me an opportunity,
Right.
and taught me some of the ropes. So that's fast forward. I think in every stage of life, any job, I don't know. I mean, God just kind of puts people in my path where if I can help bring out the best in them, I think it's the mentality of always trying to replace yourself. And I think a lot of people are afraid of that. But the reality is, if you can be that in somebody's life, there's a whole lot more blessings that come around that principle, that mindset, than this, scarcity mentality, even in real estate. I mean, listen, I could probably say, maybe not, I'm going to say 50%, but it's a lot of my past clients or whatever. It's like, oh, I've got my real estate license. And early on when I was more insecure, it's like, what? Okay.
That's
Now it's just like,
competition.
awesome. If I
Yeah.
can do anything to help you, just let me
Exactly.
know. And I think, even now, fast forward in real estate, I run a small team, effective, efficient, lean and mean, and that's how I like to operate.
Right.
But I'm all about giving people opportunities to realize their strengths, and if I can help somebody be successful in real estate, that's kind of my mentality.
Yeah. That's so important. That was one of the things that I learned on very early on in the staging business. I can't do it all myself. Because like if you're out marketing, you're not staging.
Right.
Or if you're staging, you're not marketing.
Right.
And so it's like, there's where you have to grow a team to be able to multiply yourself, because the more you're able to give to others, the better it is.
Yeah.
And it's like this business today is nothing of what it was when I started it.
Sure.
My team is so much more creative than I ever could be,
Right.
because I was trying to do too many things. When you can come back and say, no, let me develop you,
Yep.
that's not creating competition.
Right.
It's making your scope go bigger,
Yes.
and you talk about, well, we didn't talk about this yet, but like I was talking to my son earlier, and I said, one of the things that I'd like to do is get my real estate license and become a part of a real estate company that has, passive income.
Sure.
Connect does that. And I said, you know what, Jonathan, as you bring people in, passive income is the way of the
Hey,
future,
yep.
like that you're making money on the people that you're developing. So where's the negative in that?
Yeah, there's really
But
not.
you're
I
training
mean,
people up to be experts.
Well, it's just,
excellence.
in real estate, because it's a 24/7, 365, it can be.
Right.
And I think, there's a lot of people, you go to a lot of real estate seminars and stuff, and it talks about the wheel or the pillars, like, okay, you want family, you've got faith, you've got finances, and I think that was all F's. I don't think it's that succinct. But there's like all these things and like,
The
hey,
7 F's
and it's
are-
talking about balance, and it's
Yeah.
talking about make sure everything's balanced. I tell people, especially getting into the real estate industry, it's like, listen, that is the goal. You want balance,
Right.
but there are times where, and luckily I have an amazing wife, Jamie, where she's like, she knows there's times that we go into growth or we've got to develop, and you might not see as much of me this year because we're pushing for this or we're growing
Right.
this. I mean, it took me 12 years in the real estate industry to finally get a weekend back, and so now I take phone calls on the weekends. Sundays, really, I try to safeguard for family, but I was doing open houses every weekend. I was out showing properties every weekend. So, when you develop people around you, you have to have a team at some point.
Exactly.
And I remember there was one year I did over 80 transactions by myself. No help, no transaction coordinator, no assistants, no other agents. I don't think I could ever do that again. Now, knowing what I know now, because now I'm really, hey, what's the balance? And how do we help more people but still keep some of the balance? But,
Right. Well, and that's a huge part, because if you don't develop a team, it will run you ragged. If you're going at it full time. And there has to be a balance in life, and your family deserves it. But I'm reading this high healthy habits of high performers right
Okay.
now. And one of the things it talks about is, this guy is Brandon something or other, is pulled in to do a lot of high profile consultations. And there's these people that are just running and running and running,
Hmm.
and they're like, I'm burning out. And what's going to happen? And it's like, wait a second. You need to take a step back
Yeah.
and you need to have some things throughout the day. Like this one thing is on my phone, it's bring joy.
Hmm.
Okay. Take a step back and say, how can I bring joy to somebody today?
Yeah.
That's a huge thing,
Yeah.
or take a step back before I walk in the door of my home.
Hmm.
Breathe,
Hmm.
release work,
Hmm.
and be there for your family
Yeah.
because your family deserves that.
Yeah.
Not always. Like as you said, there are times when you're growing the business and you just have to say, hey guys, can you give me some time?
Well, there's photo documentation, and I don't have it, but I remember seeing the photo where I've got my whole family. We're at Disney World, right? Happiest place on earth, whatever. And here's in the background is Ryan behind a trash can making a phone call, just trying to get a little quiet and act like I'm not with my family. Now I embrace it a little bit more. It's like, hey, listen, a little noisy, especially with everything that's been going on in the world. Everybody working from home. You got dogs barking,
Everybody's
you got
used to it
kids
now.
running around, and everybody's like, now it's, oh yeah, it's cool. And then it's another way to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
But definitely have to have the people around you. Got to find the ways to recenter. And I'm so grateful for the amazing team that I have now. And we all have our strengths, And
Right.
But it has been a journey.
Yeah, that's so exciting. So for somebody getting into real estate, what's maybe a piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. And I think that's probably one of the biggest misnomer. Everybody watches HGTV and all these shows, which real estate can be very fun if you love it. I love it. I love it. So it's a lot of fun, but it's not easy, especially if you're going to. Now, this is a beautiful thing about real estate. For me, I'm all in, like, let's do this, let's grow something and keep growing. And I feel that even in my career, there's been years where it's like, okay, I need a breather. And then the next year is let's take it to the next level. I'm always looking at how can we take it to the next level, but it's definitely not easy. Maybe you only want to do a little bit. And maybe the real estate, your goals is really just, hey, my family needs a little extra money, or I want to be able to take my kids to Disney World or, on a vacation. I think, and that's okay. I mean, some people, that's all they want to get out of it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but I would tell them it's like, treat it like a business. You've heard sayings like there's no such thing as a free lunch, or nothing worth having comes easy. Like I think it's true in anything. So telling brand new people, it's like really evaluate what's your why? Why are you doing this? And then use that as a metric, because as you're reflecting and you're looking back on, okay, here's, with my team, I just asked everybody starting the top of the year is like, listen, think of 5 things that you loved about this past year, 5 things that you did that you're like, yes, I had some wins with that. 5 things that you're like, I could definitely use some improvement on. Okay, hone in those. And then 5 things that definitely did not work. I need to make sure I don't do that and create a bad habit or something like that. So, treat it like a business, especially when we're out there representing people. And I think this is the part that I take very seriously, is that when people call me and they're trusting me and my team, me and then therefore my team, to help them, I mean, it's a big purchase.
It's a
And
huge
it's not a flippant thing. I mean, it's not just a TV show. It's not a this and that. I mean, these are people, there's real consequences.
Yeah.
And there's fortunately 15 years, in the business, we've done good, and I think you get through that with great communication, and people understand your heart, but treat it like a business. I think a lot of real estate people, they get out there and they never see any fruit from it because they're not treating it like a business. And
That is
I think
so
with
important.
anything, you have to do that if you're
Exactly.
wanting to see real fruit.
Exactly. It's set goals.
Yeah.
Strategize. I love that you brought up, what were the 5 things that you did great? What are the ones you want to work on? We have a strategy meeting every December. I actually already have it in the books for 2021.
Wow, you're doing better than I am, Mary.
It's December 11th.
You're doing better than I am.
Really coming back and looking at the business. What were our wins? Let's celebrate those. What were our struggles? And I love that some of our biggest failures can actually lead us to the greatest successes.
Yeah, for sure.
But if we're willing to go back and really look at it, dissect it, what did we do that could have been better, and then move forward. And do you guys have monthly goals?
Yeah, we do. My team is set up just a little bit different, where all my team members, that are real estate agents, they operate as their own real estate agent, but they're a part of the Kutter team, the Kutter family under Connect. And so I run a little bit different. Most real estate teams don't work and they fail. And just because I think a lot of team leaders don't give them the opportunity to grow independently, and I think early on I was a little maybe self-conscious about that, of like, okay, what real value do I add? Yes, I've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Yes. And so that's when people around me is like, Ryan, you actually add pretty immense value. And, with real estate, some of my reputation is I keep more deals together than most agents, because I've found that people get hung up on little things, whether it be a buyer or a seller or another real estate agent, right? And then that's where you take a step back. It's like, no, this is minor. We can easily work through this. But
that communication and the negotiations.
Yes.
Major.
Yeah.
Because you said it could be just such a little thing. Maybe it's $1,000, but literally the buyer's going to walk on it. And it's
I've had
really?
deals about to fall apart over $200.
Yeah, really? But not being able to sit back and say, let's kind of come to the table here. What have been some of your hardest deals? $200 is really?
Yeah. Hardest deals. Gosh, see, I have a real short memory when it comes to the hard things in life, because I like to focus on the good things. So the hardest things. Man, Mary, we might have to come back to that.
Okay, that's fine. We'll come back on that one.
I just think when you're dealing with people that aren't motivated, and motivation is key in real estate.
That's huge.
And if I can understand somebody's motivation, could be financial, it could be a timing thing, it could be, family, personal, and that's where as a real estate professional, I'm not just a real estate agent, and that's just kind of a sideline. Like if you're in this business, call yourself a real estate professional.
Correct.
And actually work, and that takes work, to get there. But I think as a real estate professional, our clients, they're expecting. I mean, anybody can write a contract, anybody can this and that, but there's so many little things in that.
Right.
Gosh, the hardest deal. Well,
and
we're
it's
definitely
really when you think about it, you guys are psychologists.
Oh man.
Because you are, I love that you said, what is the reason why that person is motivated to sell?
Yep.
It may not be a positive reason. It might be a divorce.
Yep.
Now we've got a lot of negative things, and we have to be there. And you're working with 2 attorneys, maybe, or and there's all this friction that is nothing to do about you.
Yeah.
But you're having to deal with that.
Yeah.
And you're having to take somebody through a very painful time in their life, that maybe they don't even have any hope for the future. Like they're not knowing what's going to happen on day 21 or something.
Well, yeah. And so scratch realtor, like that's the copyrighted title or whatever that you always have to have the little sign next to. Yeah, but we're really professional problem solvers. At least that's how I look at it. And if you can become a professional and expert problem solver, you'll be successful in real estate. But you wear that hat. I wear a lot of hats. It's although I'm not an attorney, anybody recording, I'm not a lawyer, but you act as a pastor. At least I act as a counselor, a relationship, mediator, a real estate guy, a networker for contractors and whatever. There's so many different hats, but it's all part of it.
Real estate wheel that we always share, and it's like what you guys have to do and who you have to interact with to get one deal done.
Yeah.
And then last year, how many deals did you do?
We did about 100. Me personally did about 120, 130
Okay.
personally,
And
and then my
having
team
to
had.
deal with all of these different agencies
Mm-hmm.
to get one house sold,
Yeah.
and
So
it's like you guys are worth everything that you are doing because you're doing so much behind the scenes. Plus, you're also being that counselor and
yeah,
saying, you know what, needs to be done, or bringing in, we need to bring in this professional. We need to work
yeah.
with that person to get your house sold because our job is to get top dollar for you in the quickest amount of
Right.
time.
And I tell people, my clients as well, like you get people that are skittish about real estate professionals and don't necessarily see their value. And then my answer to that is, well, you just haven't worked with the right one
Right.
yet, because I feel as a real estate professional, I mean, other than getting, if it's a selling, getting top dollar, working through all that smooth logistically, just having a great transaction is one thing, but a great real estate professional saves you money in so many other ways.
Exactly.
Whether it be, I've got a contractor that does this. I remember we're sitting at a closing table one time with a client. This was about a year ago. And for some reason, he got his insurance quote in at the last minute. And his insurance premiums on the closing statement for the pay in the first year. And I said, hey, man, I just saw this. I don't want to mess up anything, but man, we can get this insurance better. Well, there at the closing table, I saved him $2,500 on his insurance. Like, and I'm not an insurance guy,
Right,
but it's
you
just
have
like,
the connections,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
do
yeah,
this
yeah.
day in and day out, so you know who to go to.
Yeah.
I remember when we were selling our spring house, Renee kept on saying to me, she goes, Mary, I generally take care of it, but it's because I'm in the industry and I know
Yeah.
all the people. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, let me get this done. Let me get this done. And she's
Yeah.
like, Mary, I take care. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
getting in your way.
Yeah.
But when you know these people, like, having a painter that is a great painter but very reasonable can save you tons of money.
Yeah.
But make you tons of money too.
Yeah,
you
for sure.
know. So it's so important that you have that, you work with a professional realtor who really has that whole trades background and knows, people that can help you with
Yep.
things. You can
Yep.
save a ton of money,
Yep.
which is huge,
Sure.
huge, huge. So who are you seeing as our buyers right now?
As far as just like demographics, yeah. I mean, everybody. I mean, it's a great time to sell. It's also a great time to buy. And so you're seeing a lot of first-time home buyers. I just left a pre-closing walkthrough with young guy, single, firefighter, and it's time to buy. He's tired of paying money on rent. And I think there's
How old was he?
He's early 20s.
Okay, millennials.
Yeah,
Okay.
millennials. Great time to downsize. Really, it's just the market's crazy right now. And I think on the sell side, definitely touching seller's market, where if you're thinking about selling, it's time. You
Don't
can
be
get top
afraid.
dollar, and then they're like, yeah, but if I sell at top dollar, I'm buying at top dollar. Yes, but like if there's a loan involved, interest rates are lower than we've
They're
ever seen
nothing.
before. So there's still pros on
Right.
both sides of the table. And so that's just thing. You're going to buy high, sell high, sell low, buy low. I think it is really a circular
circle.
thing, especially if it's your home. Now, if you're an investor that you're just looking to straight up, not saying that your home isn't an investment, because it is, and
It is.
there's definitely money that can be made there. It's a great investment, but maybe your approach or the way you look at things is a little bit different. But yeah, I think all across the board, millennials, retirees, upsize, downsize, especially coming off of 2020. I think more people have been in their house than they ever have been before. And so we're seeing a lot of upsizers, downsizers. It's just, it's craziness.
It's like the space in a home has had
Yes.
to rework itself.
Yeah.
We've gone from, and I talk with Rosemary Bickford about this all the time with Bricklin Homes, and it's like, okay, this big open space didn't work 2020.
No, it didn't.
Like
I'm seeing a lot of drawback away, the whole open floor plan that everybody wanted for the last 10 years.
Right.
And everybody's like, no, I like a little compartmentalization.
Let me have a
I like the
room.
kitchen to be off just a little bit with a wall and not just wide open. So that's a real deal.
It's really.
I mean,
fun
you
to
probably
have-
see more design trends than I do.
We do. We see a lot of it, and it's kind of a crazy thing. Like one of the things we're seeing is double kitchens. Like, why do
Yeah.
you need double kitchens? but it's really that people want to get back to experiencing time together, but
Yeah.
they don't want people to see the mess. So let me
Yeah.
have this back kitchen, but we can all hang out at the family
Exactly.
island. But there's like no formal dining room.
Correct.
It's we want to be together.
Mm-hmm.
The game room, the theater is on the first floor.
Love that.
Because that's where we do life.
Yep.
And I love how we're seeing these trends, but so much has been from 2020.
Mm-hmm.
At International Builders Conference, they have talked about the problems of getting millennials out of apartment renting.
Mm-hmm.
We have Market Tower Square, which is like heaven,
Mm-hmm.
for renting. But COVID is pushing the millennials out because they're like, okay, I've been blocked up in this apartment. I can't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have a townhouse that at least I have 3 floors that I can go visit
Yep.
some other rooms in,
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, any other things that you've saw with 2020 and real estate? We quieted down, but then we have gone crazy.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Which is like you started out saying Houston's one of the great spots. Fortunately, I've been doing real estate long enough now where I've been through, 08, 09. You've seen some of these different times in the real estate world and what that impacts. But Houston's a great place to be. Fortunately, we've stayed consistent when other parts of the nation and world haven't.
Right.
And so that's a huge blessing. Still lots of relocation and, in and out. There's a positive to everything. And I think we talked a little bit about helping people through hard times, and maybe somebody's having to sell their house because of something that happened in 2020, layoffs or whatever the case may be. But I always bring people back to, now listen, your house is your home, but in the end, it is a house. Home is where your family is. Home is where your heart is.
Exactly.
And so just because bad situation, we have to sell the house. Listen, it's just a chapter. It's just a page in your story. And I love that. And that's where I think when I'm at a first time consult with somebody, and whether it be buying or selling, instead of just quickly hopping to numbers on a house and this is what we could sell for, here's what we should buy for, I really try to spend some time if somebody will open up, because I really am a team member in this with my clients.
Right.
And I like to focus more up front on what's the goals, what's the plan, or what's the vision, what's the next couple steps look like. And then I'm there to help the next step or two, which may involve a house transition or a property transition in the middle. So, I really lead with people, or I try to. I'm still human, but my heart in what I do is to serve others, and I get that from my mom. I think, if you can serve people, you can love on people, you help people, everything else will happen. Businesses will grow, but what is your heart? And that's really, even though I've had some success in real estate and continue to, but it really comes down to the people first. And put others first, then everything else works out.
That is like one of the number one things of a high performer. It's not about the numbers. The numbers will come.
Numbers come.
But the heart is the service and serving others. When you're serving others, truly God is there and He makes things happen. It's like, have you ever been able to outgive God?
Never.
It's like, I'm always amazed. I'm like,
Never.
every now, we go and we're like, oh, it's not the best time to do this or to give this, but God told me to do this, so I'm going to do it. And then you're like, okay, God, it's like you can't outgive Him.
You can't.
And He is there to just love. And, it's like, I look at the world right now and it's crazy. And it's like, my brother keeps on saying, well, God wouldn't take us this far to get us there. And I'm like, there was a song on KSPJ this morning on the walls of Jericho. The walls of Jericho must come down or something like that. And I was like, Lord, you are in control. No matter what, we might be seeing things that are like crazy, 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 but we already know God's won.
Yep.
He has won the battle, and we can just stand firm in knowing He's got us.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So it's so exciting. So what do you love about Houston most? Is there a thing that you love most, or there's just so many things?
So I was born in Conroe, so I'm a suburbs guy. I probably, some people would say that I've got a redneck streak in me too, because I'm more of a country guy, although I can wear suits and everything. I got my mud boots on today because, we had snow in Texas, right? Go Bearcats. And, Yeah. So favorite thing about Houston is there's just so much to do. I mean, you want to get to the country, you can go to the country. You like to hunt and fish, plenty of options for that. You like the coastline, it's 2 hours away if you're on the north side. If you want to go antique shopping in Bryan, you can get there in an hour. You want to go, I guess growing up in Texas, we put on miles every year. Like I think Texas, where the national average is like 12,000 miles on a car, I think the Texas average is like 16,000 or more.
I was going to say 30.
Well, I mean, for me, it's more like 40 to 50.
Yeah.
But, we get around. We drive a lot. I have family in Wisconsin, and, it's if they have to drive 10 minutes somewhere, it's like, oh, my gosh, it's just so much
far.
work. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like 10 minutes is perfect. You can get anywhere in 10 minutes around Houston, whatever you need. So I love that about Houston. I love the people. I mean, Texas is, there's a lot of great states for anybody watching this outside of Texas, but Texas is really it is something special. And I think, you asked me who are the buyers right now. It's people trying to get to Texas.
Exactly.
And they can't get here quick enough.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, we could divulge and break that apart, but I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people moving from different states to get to Texas. And what you will find if you've never been here is that overall, I'm not saying there's not idiots and jerks and, grumpy people, but overall, the people in Houston and in this part of Texas are overall friendly, and they care about other people.
They've been waiting for you to come.
Yeah.
That's really, what's the saying here? You couldn't get here fast enough.
Yeah.
Whereas other places, they're not quite like that.
Yeah.
A friend of mine is down from Massachusetts right now.
Okay.
And she went to church yesterday
Okay.
with one of my other girlfriends that we were all up in Cape Cod together. And she was just like, oh my gosh, I literally cried for 20 minutes at church. It was so good to be at church with friends.
Yes.
Great message.
Yep.
She's like, I just couldn't stop crying because we don't have that right now in Massachusetts. We're still on lockdown. And Texas is open, and we love the Lord.
Yeah. A lot of great things going on in Texas, for sure.
It's so true. Well, thank you, Ryan, so much.
Yes.
Hey, how can people get connected with you?
I mean, you can find me on socials, Facebook, Instagram at Kutter Real Estate. You can find me on HAR. Just Google my name, Ryan Kutter, and that's Kutter with a K.
Yes.
And so I grew up my whole life. It's like, what's your last name? Kutter. Yeah, Kutter with a K. So Ryan Kutter. It's pretty easy to find me. And my cell phone number's everywhere. So if you need anything, or if you're in real estate, you need advice or just help or working through something, just find me online, and you can instant message me or text me or call me or look up Connect Realty in Texas. And luckily I was the 6th agent to join them when they came to Texas. I wish I would have been that 7th, because then I could have been Agent 007. But, I missed it by one.
Oh, wow.
But just a great company. And there's a lot of great companies out there. But I love where I'm at, and my team has found a great home there. But we are looking this year potentially to expand the Kutter Group a little bit more.
That's right.
And so if you're looking for a change or a shift, you can find me on there. Just inquire, and we can talk a little bit more about that.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Well, thank you so much,
my
Ryan.
pleasure.
And thank you for sharing this time with us.
Yes.
Have a great day. And if you have any questions on home staging or interior design, give us a call at Simple-elegance, 877-458-8254.